The moment the white van drifted onto the empty highway, the late afternoon sun carving harsh shadows across its dusty frame, something felt wrong in the air, an unspoken tension, a quiet plea for help hidden beneath the roar of the open road. And when the battered side window slid open just an inch, revealing the terrified face of a young girl holding a shaky cardboard sign that read "Kidnapped. Help," the world seemed to freeze for half a heartbeat. In that suspended moment, four bikers who had seen the worst parts of life felt their hearts drop in unison. They had no idea who she was, where she came from, or what kind of danger waited inside that van. But one thing was certain. They weren't letting her disappear into the horizon without a fight. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and courage even in the roughest souls, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It means the world and helps us bring more real human stories like this. The riders, known in the region for their rough looks and patched leather vests, were not strangers to dark roads or broken people. They carried their own scars, physical and emotional, and each mile of asphalt reminded them of the battles they had survived. But nothing cut through them like the raw fear in that girl's eyes. She couldn't have been more than 14 or 15, her hands trembling against the smeared glass, her message scribbled in thick black marker as if she wrote it in a panic, not knowing whether she'd ever get another chance. The bikers exchanged a quick glance, not of hesitation, but of absolute understanding. Some people run when they sense danger. These men charged toward it. The van suddenly accelerated, its tires whining against the asphalt, as if the driver realized the girl had revealed herself. The bikers surged forward instantly, engines roaring to life like thunder rolling across the plains. The chase was reckless, dangerous, and the kind of thing any reasonable person would avoid, but none of them had been reasonable men for a long time. They rode like the wind, pushing their machines to their limits, weaving through the lonely stretch of highway with unwavering purpose. The landscape blurred around them, dry fields, leaning telephone poles, endless blue sky, yet the girl's shaking sign stayed sharp in their minds. Every second counted. Every second she remained in that van was a second too long. For the girl, her name was Emily. The past hours had been a nightmare she never expected to survive. Taken from a gas station while her parents searched for directions, she had been shoved into the back of the van, the windows covered, her voice useless behind sealed doors. She didn't know where she was or what the men planned. She only knew she had to keep hope alive somehow. When she spotted the bikers through a tiny tear in the old curtain, something inside her snapped, the faintest spark of courage ignited. She tore off a piece of cardboard from a storage box, grabbed a marker with shaking hands and prayed someone, anyone, would see her. When the biker's eyes locked with hers, for the first time since she was taken, she felt the possibility of survival. The pursuit stretched for miles, tension rising with every curve in the road. At last the van swerved violently, trying to lose them but revealing panic instead. The bikers took it as a sign. They were getting closer. When the van veered toward a dirt path, kicking up a storm of dust, the riders split into formation, surrounding it on both sides like a protective wall. Years of riding together gave their movements an almost instinctive rhythm. They leaned in, cut angles, blocked escape routes, and forced the driver into a desperate mistake. The van hit a deep rut, bounced hard, and lost momentum just long enough for one biker to cut in front of it, bringing the chase to a halt. What happened next felt like a scene from a movie, but it was brutally real. With adrenaline surging, the bikers approached the stalled van, knowing there could be weapons, knowing this could go wrong in 100 different ways. But they stood their ground. Their presence, their unwavering, intimidating stance, made the kidnappers hesitate. It was only a few seconds, but in those seconds, Emily felt the chains of terror begin to break. A door swung open, shouts echoed, and the bikers held firm, giving her the one opening she needed. When she scrambled out, stumbling and crying, they didn't question or hesitate. They shielded her with their own bodies, forming a barrier between her and the danger she'd escaped. Police were called. Sirens eventually filled the distant air, but what Emily remembered most wasn't the uniforms, the laws, or the handcuffs clicking around her captor's wrists. It was the rough, tattooed biker kneeling in front of her, offering his jacket because she was shaking too hard to keep warm. It was the promise in their eyes, unspoken yet solid, that she was safe now, that her nightmare had ended, and that sometimes heroes didn't look like the stories she'd been told. Sometimes they rode motorcycles and wore leather vests patched with skulls. Sometimes they came from broken pasts but still chose to save others. When Emily was reunited with her parents, tears and relief washed over them all, but she kept glancing back at the men who had risked everything for her. They didn't stay for thanks or attention. They simply nodded, turned toward their bikes and rode off quietly, leaving behind a family made whole again. To them, it wasn't about glory. It was about doing what was right in a world that often forgot what kindness looked like.